Let me move on, yeah? Let me move on. Why me I tell you, man? You know, me not read the article, me I wait till later. All of the article, yeah, me I wait till later. Me I go to miss, me I go to that area because I'm strapped for time. Me only have half an hour left.
Another ministerial update here on the JIS. Today we're speaking with Ambassador Audrey Marks. She is the Minister with responsibility for efficiency, innovation and digital transformation in the Office of the Prime Minister. Recent media reports have suggested that she made a proposal to the U.S. government about a third country national program, which is the subject of a memorandum of understanding with the U.S. government. She joins us now to answer some of the concerns raised in the public domain. Ambassador Marks, thank you for joining us. Firstly, why have you decided to speak out on this issue?
Well, as you know, and I've been hearing that I've not addressed this matter earlier, how the government works is that the line ministers and the information minister would respond to issues of national importance. So if you notice, it would have been the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Ministry of National Security and Peace and the Minister of National Security and Peace, and the Information Minister. They would deal with any matter of national importance in addressing the nation. And that's the process that started and got to a certain point. I was away last week, but when I came back, I realized that the country was being flooded with misinformation. And a lot of it was centered on a misunderstanding, where it was being said that I made a proposal for 10,000 criminals to come into Jamaica. So it was very important for me to start speaking about it and clarify exactly what the MOU is about and what my proposal is about.
I mean, you just mentioned it just now that you've seen and you've been reading some of the comments online. What would you say is the biggest misunderstanding that you'd want the public to get the truth to?
The biggest misunderstanding is that we have signed a MOU that allows criminals, rapists, murderers to come into the country. Now, a popular video going around speaks about Secretary Rubio saying they are going to send third country nationals with criminal records, all their rapists and murderers, etc., to other countries. And that is a video that seems to be driving the narrative. But
cartoons.
Hey, me say sometime me hate advertisement this man. How them for do me that? No. Me glad she talk about this video. I really want to hear what she saying now. Go back to me.
With criminal records, all their rapists and murderers, etc., to other countries. And that is a video that seems to be driving the narrative. But this entire conversation started on June 16th, I believe, when the Gleaner published an article that said Jamaica has signed the third country nationals MOU with the United States. The MOU was leaked to the Gleaner, so it detailed all the information in the MOU. They could have just as well just print the MOU. The information.
Ladies and gentlemen, a key thing that we have to hear and understand here is that she's saying that the MOU that was leaked to the Gleaner is verifiable. She said the MOU was leaked to the Gleaner, so the Gleaner did not put out any misinformation. Hello, somebody? Let's continue. Let's play that again.
And the third country nationals MOU with the United States. The MOU was leaked to the Gleaner, so it detailed all the information in the MOU. They could have just as well just print the MOU. The information that is in the MOU and what was printed in the Gleaner spoke specifically of Jamaica not admitting serious criminals. So let me now go to what was printed in the Gleaner and is actually what was agreed by the government of Jamaica. So it is in the public domain. It says, the transfer of TCNs, third country nationals, will be suspended if more than 10 persons apply to remain in Jamaica. The MOU speaks to the USA providing biological, medical, and criminal documentation to the extent available.
That is a key part of it. To the extent available. And now that goes back to what the lawyer said on Colin Bell's show. They can't really get all the information on these people because of the nature in which they went to the country illegally. And they cannot go to the country and ask them, take fingerprint and ask them for information about the persons. So it goes back to, and this is why you must listen with a critical ear now. It goes back to the uncertainty, the unknown. They cannot know if these people are criminals, Jamaica. They cannot 100% know. Listen to what you said again.
In Jamaica. The MOU speaks to the USA providing biological, medical, and criminal documentation to the extent available.
To the extent available. That is golden, ladies and gentlemen. To the extent available. We're going to continue. We just want to know. Make sure you mark that. You know. Mark that.
Biological, medical, and criminal documentation to the extent available. And also that Jamaica will evaluate each TCN prior to a decision to transfer that individual through Jamaica. It also specifically states that Jamaica will limit any transfer to only adults who have not been convicted of serious criminal offenses. And it says serious because they would have a criminal offense already. That is immigration violation. And many.
So Jamaica, want to hear that? These individuals would have a criminal offense already. So in essence, who they're sending here, the reason why they're deporting them is the fact that they're a criminal. Can somebody say amen? Can somebody say amen? And I'm going back to the unknown. They can't know the extent of their criminality in their country. They cannot know the fullness because when they go through the border, them dash them paper more than likely. Hey, you don't say, if you listen, if you listen what them people are saying, because they tell upon themselves, This is not a win for the Jamaica Labour Party in terms of governance. They shouldn't even entertain this deal at all because legally they should understand that these people, you don't know. You just don't know. Leave it alone. Why they engage with this foolishness? You know why they do it? Because they are compromised. Chop up them card, pun intended. Enough for them in all type of thing. And them know them have them file. So them can't tell them no. That is the reason they are compromised. They are politically exposed persons. They are peps.
Many of us, we know they would have a criminal offense already. That is immigration violation. And many of us, we know many relatives who went to the USA, run off or overstay. If they are caught, that's a criminal violation in terms of immigration violation. But serious criminal violations would be like rapes, murders, all the things that
all the things that Rubio said. All the things that Rubio described. Why would Rubio come out here and tell us that, such and this and that, all that he said? Why you think Jamaica is frantic? Why you think that Jamaica is alarmed? People are making it look like the people do not have any good reason to be concerned. They have a lot of good reason to be concerned. And when I have to appreciate Colin Bell bringing on the lawyer. And now I have learned, and it has opened my mind to the legal fray of things where really and truly the Jamaican government cannot be 100% sure of the status legally, the criminal status of these people that they are sending here. They are not sure, Jamaica. And if they tell you they are lying. Because even Audrey Marks said it. To the extent that it is available. Let me go back to that part.
Medical and MOUs be suspended if more than 10 persons apply to remain in Jamaica. The MOU speaks to the USA providing biological, medical, and criminal documentation to the extent available.
Bingo!
And also that Jamaica will evaluate each TCN prior to a decision to transfer that individual through Jamaica. It also specifically states that Jamaica will limit any transfer to only adults who have not been convicted of serious criminal offenses. And it says serious because they would have a criminal offense already. That is immigration violation. And many of us, we know many relatives who went to the USA, run off or overstay. If they are caught, that's a criminal violation in terms of immigration violation. But serious criminal violations would be like rapes, murders, all the things that the government is being accused of allowing into the country. That is specifically non-negotiable in the MOU. It also says that Jamaica retains full...
Jamaica, again, I have to make the point. For her to say that it's non-negotiable, the negotiation has to do with the extent of the information that is given. There are too much unknowns. They cannot guarantee that these people are not criminals. I am going to burn that point in our mind. Don't make them trick up.
Discretion to decline to accept any individual for any reason, including health and for security purposes or any other basis. And it goes on to say other things. But it's important to note that this information is in the public domain. This was in the first article published by the Gleaner. Yet, because this was an orchestrated misinformation plan, the very same day and in the continuing days, what we have seen pushed from various bloggers, YouTubers, all kinds of persons, third country nationals MOU with the United States to take criminals into Jamaica. That is not so. And that's the first thing we must clarify and put an end to.
You've said, though, that you did, in fact, make a proposal to the US government about a skills program.
So, Audrey Marks, you say them a criminal, but no, you say them are not criminal. Make up your mind. You just say them a criminal, but they are not. They don't have major criminal offenses behind them name. They are still criminal, not true? Or no, them are not deportees neither. They're technically not deportees. You see, this is the thing that they're doing now. I would never allow them to get away with it. You know? If Marco Rubio never say what he said, people wouldn't dare say, oh, now bring back rapists and all of them people. Because the man specifically talk about these people when they are sent to other countries. It's not our fault talking about orchestrated. Orchestrated in the backside. People have them brain for themselves. They're out of order. People is looking at the internet and looking at the information and going, what? What the hell is going on? And I know I asked a myriad of questions on my platform because I was like, what? What is going on here? Who is benefiting? Where is the money going? Who is getting the money?
Has now been conflated with this third country national program. Let's start with your proposal. How did that come about? Back
in 2024, when the Republican Party, President Trump, when he was campaigning and they're having their convention, they put a major focus on the migration policy in the United States. And they committed that there will be a drastic change. This was concretized later on in the America First policy document. And when you read that, it clearly shows that there will be mass deportations. In fact, not even a person whose parents born in another country and the child is born in the United States, even that would be questioned. So it's a massive relook, a significant and material relook at America's migrant policy and immigration policy, so to speak. So in my role as ambassador, the first thing that I must do whenever there's any policy changes going on in the United States, I must look at how that impacts Jamaica. And then I'm still an entrepreneur, so I also look at, is there an opportunity to minimize risk and challenges to Jamaica? But is there also an opportunity to see any benefit to Jamaica in whatever is happening? So that was my motivation to study it and to make sure I look at where can we minimize risk to Jamaica and also find opportunities.
And so in that line, what exactly
changes going on in the United States, I must look at how that impacts Jamaica. And then I'm still an entrepreneur, so I also look at, is there an opportunity to minimize risk and challenges to Jamaica? But is there also an opportunity to see any benefit to Jamaica in whatever is happening? So that was my motivation to study it and to make sure I look at where can we minimize risk to Jamaica and also find opportunities.
And so in that line, what exactly were you proposing?
So I came up with my team at the embassy, we came up with a proposal where we could cooperate. And the first area would be on expanding the amount of Jamaican seasonal workers. Right now the cap is about 20,000 and we'll be proposing more like 200,000. And so my thinking was, how do we get ahead of this situation and propose to the US that we can help. We can help because we have an established legal system of bringing workers into the country. And so that was the first proposal. The second is that when you look at the figures, it will break out that 8.5 million of the undocumented migrants in the United States are highly skilled. And we know that in Jamaica, we are having a situation where we have lost over 1.3 million Jamaicans who have migrated, many highly skilled. They are trained teachers, nurses, doctors, scientists. They have better opportunities in the United States, and for the last 40 years, they have been migrating. So we have gone through our own brain drain. My thinking at the time, how can we utilize the situation to attract more skilled workers into Jamaica, because we are hearing the complaints across all industries that we are short of skilled labor in some areas.
And so what would have been involved in the program that you were proposing?
And so what I'm saying is, for the economy to grow, we have to face the population problem and the skill. In my role, the Republican Party, President Trump, when he was campaigning and they're having their convention, they put a major focus on the migration policy in the United States. And they committed that there will be a drastic change. This was concretized later on in the America First policy document. And when you read that, it clearly shows that there will be mass deportations. In fact, not even a person whose parents born in another country and the child is born in the United States, even that would be questioned. So it's a massive relook, a significant and material relook at America's migrant policy and immigration policy, so to speak. So in my role as ambassador, the first thing that I must do whenever there's any policy changes going on in the United States, I must look at how that impacts Jamaica. And then I'm still an entrepreneur, so I also look at, is there an opportunity to minimize risk and challenges to Jamaica, but is there also an opportunity to see any benefit to Jamaica in whatever is.
So, Ms. Audrey Marks, you're an entrepreneur. So you are telling us that you weren't looking how you could make some money? You're looking at how Jamaica could benefit. All right, let's continue.
It's happening. So that was my motivation to study it and to make sure I look at where can we minimize risk to Jamaica and also find opportunities.
And so in that line, what exactly were you proposing?
So I came up with my team at the embassy, we came up with a proposal where we could cooperate. And the first area would be on expanding the amount of Jamaican seasonal workers. Right now the cap is about 20,000 and we'll be proposing more like 200,000. And so my thinking was, how do we get ahead of this situation and propose to the US that we can help. We can help because we have an established legal system of bringing workers into the country. And so that was the first proposal. The second is that when you look at the figures, it will break out that 8.5 million of the undocumented migrants in the United States are highly skilled. And we know that in Jamaica, we are having a situation where we have lost over 1.3 million Jamaicans who have migrated, many highly skilled. They are trained teachers, nurses, doctors, scientists. They have better opportunities in the United States, and for the last 40 years, they have been migrating. So we have gone through our own brain drain. My thinking at the time, how can we utilize the situation to attract more skilled workers into Jamaica? Because we are hearing the complaints across all industries that we are short of skilled labor in some areas.
And so what would have been involved in the program that you were proposing?
And so what I'm saying is, for the economy to grow, we have to face the population problem and the skills labor problem. However, we have 50,000 persons who are unemployed, and then we have maybe about another 50,000 or more underemployed. So we have to, so my thinking was, how do we balance that by making sure when we are bringing in persons into the country, we are also looking at ways that we will get Jamaicans employed and engaged in the economy. So it was a broad-based proposal, and we'll go through that. It has other areas in it. It had it also looked at how we could set up Jamaica as a location for large companies like Google, Amazon to get their H-1 visa workers settled in Jamaica, because that program is also going to be cut in the United States. And if we can become a near-shore destination for these large companies to put their employees here in Jamaica, it could also be very good for our economy. We also look at things like the near-shore logistics hub for the region, and also security matters, trafficking of guns and drugs, how we could work better to deal with that. So it's a comprehensive proposal. And in it, when we break out the area that deals with the skills worker migration, you'll be seeing that if we have 775 communities. If we even look at in terms of placement, because you'd want to make sure it's done in a way that integrates into the country, and say even 20 per community, you're looking at 15,500 persons coming in. And so I cannot just run it off at 10,000 because we couldn't start with any big number anyway. It's going to be a gradual program. I actually, in the document, looked at a pilot of 1,000 persons to start the process.
So that was for that skilled workers program that you're speaking about. That's how that 10,000 figure came up?
That's how that came up. And that was from January 2025. That conversation started then. And the proposal was done about March 2025. So it's over a year ago. But when I came back to Jamaica in April 2025, we I got busy setting up a new ministry, then election, and then Hurricane Melissa. While we were busy with our national priorities here, the U.S. was implementing the America's First policy document, which included changes in migration.
And on that point, to be clear, were you involved at all, or are you involved at all, or were you at any point involved in that TCN program that is now the subject of the MOU?
Oh, no, not at all. That would be the United States, the White House and the State Department. That's their program. And they've approached, I think now around between 27 and 28 countries have signed. Our neighbor here in the region, Belize, signed from about October. Many of our Caribbean countries have signed. I think Jamaica, Barbados, and Guyana are the last ones now negotiating. And another 54 countries, I know from the records that are in the public domain, they're in negotiations. That's a clear United States policy, not anything at all to do with me. I could not dictate to the US anything about their third country nationals program.
So you were not involved in that negotiation?
Right. So a year later, January 2nd, 2026, is when the United States Embassy here transmitted a request to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to start a discussion, read their request for Jamaica to sign an MOU to deal with third country nationals. It was the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, the Ministry of National Security and Peace, the Attorney General's Department, the Ministry of Justice, they're all focused on making sure that Jamaica could sign the MOU, but in a manner that would not disturb what we are trying to achieve as a country.
Yeah. Is this skilled worker proposal that you had put forward still going to be implemented?
Oh, it still is, but we also need to deal with that misinformation. Because some of the questions I've noted, persons are saying, but this is what the embassy said, that Ambassador Marks proposed to take 10,000 criminals into the country, and the embassy would not be lying. I'm going to do some things that we don't normally do, because diplomatic notes, diplomatic agreements that are being discussed at a high level are not usually put in the public domain. It's like when WikiLeaks happen. You don't put out documents while you're in negotiations or documents that are sensitive to bilateral and even multilateral relations. They have to be managed a certain way. But what I can do, I can read from the diplomatic note exactly what was requested. So the diplomatic note said that the United States has the further honor to advise and will request that a meeting to discuss the proposal by Minister Audrey Marks to XYZ during the America's Counter-Cartel Conference at the U.S. Southern Command in Miami, Florida on March 5th, 2026 for a third country national arrangement, not the MOU, that Jamaica receive up to 10,000 third country individuals from the United States. What they were doing, they were asking for a meeting to discuss the proposal. Now, I want to go further and people can Google it. You can Google what a third country national means. And it means an individual who is in a country that is not their home of citizenship. They are neither a citizen of the nation they are currently in, the host country, in this case the United States, nor the nation that they would be going to. Depending on the context, this term applies in different ways. So for example, in the European Union, they gave that as an example. If you are in the European Union working, and you're from Canada or even England, you're referred to as a third country national. So a third country national don't mean that you're a criminal. It means that you're not from the country you're coming from, or you're not a citizen of the country you're going to.
It doesn't mean that you're a criminal, but it doesn't mean that you're not a criminal. Hello, somebody? But I'm actually talking because I put this bar record. I'm glad that you put this bar record. Very interesting.
So when the United States asks for a meeting to discuss the third country national arrangement, not MOU, of up to 10,000 individuals, there's nothing wrong with that. That is in keeping with our discussion and what I'm proposing, that we need skilled workers and we want to discuss it because it would involve an entire framework. It would involve funding from the United States. It would involve a process because those persons that would be coming would be persons that are already working in the United States. They are being processed, they are being screened, they are working, they have applied for residency, I would assume some of them, but they would not be given residency in the United States under these current changing migration policies. So the idea that if we get a request from the United States for a meeting to discuss this proposal, it means that I had put some sort of proposal to have 10,000 persons of criminal conviction coming to Jamaica is total misinformation. And I dare say the people who are pushing this rumor knows better because they have a copy of the diplomatic note. They know what they're doing. So to put out that the MOU was signed and that the MOU...
Audrey Marks, you need to call name who have a diplomatic note and I send misinformation out. No, she did a JIS this enough. A JIS. So we have it almost finished, and then I'll give my final thoughts on it.
Involves Jamaica proposing to take 10,000, making it seem like there's 10,000 criminals, is total misinformation.
Speaking of the MOU, it has been said by the government that the MOU would have been released. It's not yet been released. Why?
The MOU is a document being negotiated, and you have the MOU, the terms of the MOU, how it will work. You don't normally release the document before you finalize the negotiations and the agreements, because you have in everything you have the like the cover document, and then you have some appendix, some terms that will go with it. So how will it work? Who will be involved? You know, for example, the International Migration Organization will be the point organization handling the transit of third country nationals from the United States through Jamaica. The other point regarding the misinformation, the MOU states that the person will be here for 7 days, maximum 14 days. So there's no flooding of third country nationals to Jamaica, and certainly, again, no criminals.
What happens now?
With Base 44.
So what happens now is that it's part of what I'm doing. We have to push back very hard. We have to force persons to apologize and admit that they have told a lie. And we have to continue pushing back until more people understand that it's not everything you hear you can take up. They have come on my social media pages and others to say, you know, you sell out the country, you are getting money to buy your business, all kinds of nonsense. Before coming back to Jamaica, I get so many offers to serve in international organizations, large companies. Up to January this year, I got an offer to be an executive at a high level, not doing half the work I'm doing now, for a base of 2 million US per year. That's about what, 320 million Jamaican? I'm not here working for money. I'm here doing national service. And if you cut me, you see my blood is black, green, and gold. So if someone like me...
That's a bit of a stretch. Your blood is red, lady, not black, green, and gold. She try to sell that to you, man. Let's continue.
Can be accused of selling out the country. Where are we going? This is not something that will displace Jamaicans, will take away jobs from Jamaicans. This is where we are doing a balancing. We are upskilling.
Miss, stop it, please. If you're going to carry skilled workers, if indeed what you're saying is true, and you're going to carry skilled workers in the country, and your government is not actively upskilling the persons in the country to do, you guys are already taking away jobs from Jamaicans. The deals that you sign with the Chinese, 50% of the persons them that come here is Chinese that are working, plus the actual company that is getting the deal. They are getting the money from China, and the money going back to China. So not only are you guys taking away jobs from the Jamaicans, you're actually taking away money from Jamaica too, in so many ways that we see when I've got to pay back the interest from the loan that is going to the Chinese company. So listen, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. And you mix truth with lies, and it's okay. It's alright. You know what I mean? To make yourself look good, it's alright. You get it? You understand?
We are lifting, we are expanding the economy, more Jamaicans will be employed. We are looking at opportunities abroad to get Jamaicans more exposed and more skills, but we also need to address this fundamental constraint to our economic growth agenda.
All right, Ambassador, it's a solid note on which to end. Thank you so much for speaking.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Very interesting. So she's clearing herself from the third country national deal altogether. She's there to get skilled workers in the country, according to her. 200,000. And you notice that she talked about putting 2020 into every community. I wonder who those persons would have political allegiance to. Hello, somebody? Could this be gerrymandering at its finest on an international level? That is also something to consider. I'm just saying, if the government that is in play is the one that is going to carry in skilled workers, that is going to actually come here to work, have citizenship, could this play into elections, ladies and gentlemen? Could this affect elections moving forward? Hello, somebody? Because we look deep, you know. Yeah, man, we look deep. And in a hard we look deep. That's why we ask these questions. You get what I say? Because we know the nature of the Jamaica Labour Party, you know. They have been trying it with Everal Warmington, Mr. Gerrymandering, and Mark Golding called them out on him. Them things are we born big because we humble. But we born big and we humble too. But we not done. We not done. So Audrey Marks, clear our name, ladies and gentlemen. Audrey Marks don't have nothing to do with the TCN, the third country nationals. It is being discussed. Nobody not come to Jamaica yet. And the statement made by Rubio exaggerated the situation and had people in panic. We were in panic, ladies and gentlemen. We didn't have any real reason to be in panic when Rubio said that they're sending the most despicable people to these countries because they want to get the worst, the scum out of their country. No, the Jamaica Labour Party, according to Audrey Marks and Andrew Wallace, has guaranteed that the individuals coming through the TCN, I hope you guys notice my sarcasm, the individuals coming through the TCM, according to them, hello somebody, are definitely not criminals. Well, they don't have any major criminal records on their name. Yes, they would be criminals because they would be deportees and they can no longer stay in the country. They say that one important note is that they will have their medical records, their criminal records, to the extent of possibility. Again, hello somebody. That is a great area. That is a great area. So, I am still against the TCNs vehemently. I don't believe them vehemently. I don't trust them vehemently. But this is what they have said. This is what they have said. So if you don't want to believe Audrey Marks and Andrew Wallace, go ahead. If you don't want to believe them, go ahead. Me not tell no one to believe. I don't believe them. I don't trust them. I don't trust them one bit. I don't. And when I look at the legal issues surrounding this TCN thing that has been going on, it makes sense for them to stay away from this completely until the dust settles. In terms of the legalities and the law, all of that stuff that is going on surrounding this thing. And where is the STEM schools? Where's the STEM schools for them to upgrade the Jamaican brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen? Where are the STEM schools? We need the STEM schools. Right? The STEM schools should be there. They promised it. Where are the STEM schools? Has the STEM school program crashed? If you don't even have STEM schools, because we need skilled workers. Come on, we need skilled workers. And, this issue with what's going on, Winifred, this issue with people in Jamaica that are not seeking any jobs. And most persons want to become an entrepreneur. Not entrepreneur, no, entrepreneur. Chopper, as in chopper, scammer, yes. Entrepreneur. The youth, them all want to turn entrepreneur. Because them see the youth, them have drive them Benz and them Young and Ray and them a travel and them a go this one, them a go and them a do all these things. Them a live the lavish life, but them a do it in the fast lane. No, them not humble, them not being taught principles because there's not both parents in the home. And if both parents are in the home, they're not being guided by the Most High in terms of how they are to grow their children. So we have a major conundrum, ladies and gentlemen, in our culture and in our society where that is concerned. But in all of the problems that's happening in Jamaica, we have been looking to men, the country, have been looking to the Prime Minister. Let me tell you something. It doesn't matter what Andrew Wallace does. If he does not take the instructions Andrew Wallace does not take the instructions straight from the throne room of heaven, which is to call this country into declaring 3 days fasting, prayer, mourning, and repentance. If he doesn't do that, the country is not going anywhere, Jamaica. It's going all the way down to hell. That is it. There's nothing they can do because God is not with us. And them is not with God. Them is against God. Them working against God. And it go back right to that. The leadership is not taking instructions from God. They're taking instructions from the devil. So all of these problems that you see, all of these uncertainties, more to come, ladies and gentlemen, more to come. But that is my time. I'm a little bit over 2 hours, and I am thankful that I was able to go through the stuff that I wanted to go through. And I appreciate the persons on TikTok. Again, we have fallen short in terms of the likes, ladies and gentlemen.